Hiya folks, fitness folks, how are we today? So I'm just going to run through a few little tips of how to work on your crow pose, because we might throw that in now to some of our yoga practices as the weeks go by. And you can choose whether or not to do the crow and to take that option, so it's entirely up to you. Okay, or you could have a practice and see how you get on separately. So I'm going to just do a basic crow. So what you've got to be able to master first is your Chaturanga Dandasana. So you've got to be able to take the weight into your arms and be strong in the arms. So let's do a kneeling Chaturanga Dandasana. So I'm going to be on my knees. Shoulders over hands. Good. Tailbone touch under tummy in. Press all the pads of the fingers into the floor, and you might even press the knuckles down, the thumb, the little finger, so you've got this big base to take the weight through, not just the heel of the hand. So then you're going to go into, it's called four-limb staff pose. So it literally is holding yourself at a right angle here. You could have your knees off the floor, or you could have your knees down and then push out. Okay, so you could have a little practice at that if you wanted to. And we're doing it every day in many of our yoga practices. So arm strength. So now you're going to do an arm balance, which requires arm strength. You needed to have warmed up your shoulders first, okay, but in our flow we will have done that. So you need to do that before you practice this. So then your Chaturanga Dandasana, your crow pose, is going to start from a crouch and hands down in that wide crow-like hands. Pads the fingers into the floor. And you are going to, for crow pose, you take your knees up into the outside of your tricep. Okay, lift the hips. And you're going to press into the arms, and the arms press out. So you've got this equal and opposite force to fix you there. And then all you do from there is try and tip forward, look forward, and squeeze. And then see if you can take one foot off the floor. Good. Release. Try the other. Squeeze, push, look forward, lean forward, lift. And then obviously what we then go to is both feet off the floor, and breathe and squeeze and look forward. Woo, feet up and release. Okay, so now we need a wrist release. So you've warmed up your wrists as well. So how can we kind of build up to that? We'll do the one foot and then the other foot. To get you up and lifted, you could actually get a block and stand on a block behind you. And you could even get a block in front of you, which is what a couple of my yogis do. This is trial and error. So you could actually start down to lift up. Let's move that block out the way to start with. So again, connect, connect, connect. Okay, so really you don't want to be looking backwards, you need to be looking forwards. So this, your head has to come forward. And you could kind of try with your head on a block. Good, so I think I would go lower. And lift. So you feel safe. Another alternative is cushions. So that if you think you're going to face plant, then you're going to face plant into a very lovely, soft, fluffy cushion or two. Let's go. So this time I'm going to do crow pose, which is slightly different because you're going to take the knee onto the back of the tricep, not to the outside. So here we go. Good, knees onto the back. Do the same process. Look forward, tip forward, maybe pick one foot off the floor, then the other, and hold. I'm going to move these cushions away and just have one more go. Look forward, tip forward, lift and hold. Breathe. Oh. Okay, that's what can happen when you face plant. I'm going to leave that in because that was fine. I've got the kind of reaction time to just move my arms and drop. So I'm going to go again. Okay, so let's try one more time. Yeah, because you've got to get back on that horse, back on that bike, Sally, and have another go. So release the wrists, especially if you're feeling it in the wrist, so don't overdo this. Another tip is a harder floor with less cushioning is better to do this on because you're not as wobbly then. Okay, so that's harder floor, obviously with your cushions in front of you. Good. So let's go again. You really got to tuck up and work into those ups. Knees up as high as they will go. Look forward. Do your one foot. Switch feet. Breathe. Push the floor away. Come out when you need to. That was as much as I could do. So I'm just going to release those wrists. There's a good counter pose to go into, well, not a counter pose, when you release your ribs, is a squat, a yogi squat, a malasana. And this is good to sit in. So if you can get your heels down, good. If you can't, you could try this. So there's a guy that I follow called The Nature, I've forgotten who he is actually, and he advocates squatting 3 times a day for 10 minutes until you can become more at one with your squatting with the earth, so you can do jobs in that squatting. Okay, so I'm having to take my feet out wider to get my heels down. Inhale and exhale. And release. Okay guys, so for those of you that have got the crow, so if we've got some stronger fitness folks out there, you're going to go from your crow or your crane to plank, and this is pushing my capabilities, my strength. Okay guys, so if you've got the crow and you can hold it for however many breaths feels right for you and build that up. Okay, for those of you that are a bit stronger, you can just go for crow to plank, so we can extend that and make that harder. But this is if you are one of the stronger people in the group.